wanted to give my thoughts and reaction on last night's eviction episode. I feel like I haven't had one happy week this season. Like, thought it was gonna be a good one, but this really should have been Tyler's time to go home. It really seems weird that he didn't. Obviously, we knew he wasn't, but just the fact that he was on the block and they didn't go through with it, yet he was on the block, he may very well go to the end now. Out of the whole committee group, he doesn't seem like such a bad option. I mentioned it in the previous video. 2 people who have never had to campaign for themselves, who have never been evicted, were on the block this week. I really thought Ian was going to be safe. Nicole in the DR was saying that she's being forced not to tell Ian the truth. And I'm like, you're not being forced to do anything. Just like, if you want to tell him, tell him. I hate the victim game. I hate all the crying. This episode was unbearable to watch her play the victim game and all the tears. It was gross, honestly. And I hope Ian does not stay friends with her. Danny lying to Ian, he really was under the impression that she would save him. She would vote to evict Tyler, which we know was not going to happen. I don't know why she did this switcheroo, because Tyler will still gun for her, so this really didn't benefit her. She just shouldn't have put Tyler on the block to begin with. And the more hope you give nominees, the more upset they are afterward, and they were feeding him a lot of hope. Luckily, he's a classy dude, and he went out and wasn't mad about it, wasn't mad that people played the game. And I know, I tried to stay clear of all feeds and everything because I felt really sad and I didn't want to build my hopes up when I know what's going to happen. But he really did try. You gotta give him that. Begged, tried to make deals. I know there were some fights and some tantrums were had, but I really liked how sassy Ian was to Danny. It was funny to watch. It was just like, you tell her, Ian. After all of this, I'm so ready for Tyler to come for Danny. Let's do this. Let's have her regret this choice she made. Ian's read on Memphis was completely wrong, saying he's playing the lone wolf game. When, we know about the committee, and Julie loves bringing up the committee whenever someone's evicted. The whole Nicole going against the committee edit. I'm like, I know they want to make it interesting for viewers to see that it could go a different way, but when you're like, it's not gonna happen. Even after the wall yellers and whatnot, Cody is still sitting pretty. Good for him. I have to give him some amount of props for being able to talk himself out of situations, for being so darn likable. So good for him. Do I wish it was different? Yeah, of course. And this week just further shows Danny's allegiance to Cody. She didn't put up one of his alliance members, she put up Ian. So I think Ian had a good feeling he was leaving. I think he was saying it was 90% he was leaving. He was dressed so nice, he looked so cute. And yeah, like I said, he just went out great. His speech was awesome. I loved it. And it was referencing back his toast at the beginning. And it was just so meaningful and heartfelt. And then there's Tyler right after promoting Angela's cookbook. Just like, yeah, it was a little bit of a weird juxtaposition and a little bit tasteless considering, Ian's going home. I don't think a speech has ever swayed people at this point. People have already made up their mind, but it was a last ditch effort from Ian. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. Would have wanted him to, because it would have been interesting, and I want that alliance to flop, but he hadn't connected all the pieces. So, but gotta give him that he went out great. Even Dan was tweeting about it, and Dan doesn't really talk about Ian, but he was saying that he went out great with such class. So there were a lot of nice tweets in support of Ian. Janelle was tweeting in support of Ian, saying a BB legend is leaving. the all-star house. And yeah, we know Janelle and Kaser were rooting for Ian to win again, him or Day. Danielle Reyes, of course, was also tweeting about Ian. It just warmed my heart. So the plan went through. I heard about it on the feeds. Dave voted out Tyler for Bay. Kevin voted out Tyler. David voted out Tyler. It's just like, Nicole, you could have, it's just, if I were Ian, I'd be so frustrated after the fact. I know he knows it's a game, but Nicole's not a true friend. I know Danny probably, she would have not broken the tie in favor of Ian, but it just sucks. I wish it could have went down that way. And now I'm already seeing that Day and Kevin probably don't believe that David voted with them. They believe David flipped. So that's even more frustrating that they believe Nicole. And it was just disgusting that after these 3 people voted, Nicole wasn't the 4th. She voted to evict Ian, and she's just like crying about it, and her talking to Cody about finding the best words to use so she doesn't come off as a monster, but she still came off as a monster. And then after that, going to the mirror and just checking herself like, okay, ready to go out again. It's like, ew. Just own up to being the villain. People would like you so much better. Ian was a good sport, hugged everybody when he was evicted, and said good game. I would not have wanted to hug everyone, maybe. I guess it depends how it went down. I'm hoping that they kind of warned him, because it sucks that I feel like people were leading him on this whole time, and I hate when they do that. I know it's because they don't want him to blow things up, but I think it just ends up, like I said, angering people even more. I loved Ian's pictures, close-ups, him playing in a comp, the costume, such a cutie. In the goodbye messages, it was really interesting that Tyler came clean about the committee, and then right after, Nicole said there was a big alliance. So I think working that jury management, Tyler's like, I told him like he'll be more on board with me if I tell him the truth. And Nicole, I guess, wanted to come clean a bit. She didn't name names, but Tyler was, so Julie seemed like she was fangirling over Ian. It seemed so heartfelt when she was talking to him, and I was like, wow, Julie's an Ian stan. Unfortunately, no battle back. I was still holding out some glimmer of hope, even though I knew it wasn't gonna happen. But there is a twist. There's gonna be a neighbor's house, and a BB legend is gonna be moving in there. I was hoping it'd be Rachel Riley, but probably not gonna happen. She's pregnant. I just heard her on a podcast. I even saw a tweet saying that it could possibly be Ian and that be the jury house. That would be hilarious, and I'd be all for that. Maybe Dr. Will. I guess we'll see. Danny didn't use her power, which I don't think was the smartest move, but she didn't want people to know she had a power, and then she didn't want to have to put an effort into throwing it. So yeah. And then I woke up this morning to see that Memphis won HOH, and yeah, we're probably gonna see Kevin, David, Day, some grouping of that as the nominations. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on what happened, and don't forget to like and subscribe.